I ended up reading 17 books this month. Probably the worst book I've ever read. And this book actually had me scared. Hi guys, it's Bella and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing all the cozy vibes. I've got my coffee, I've got my cutie little sweater on, and we're doing our January monthly wrap up. I can't believe it is officially the end of January and we're already doing our first wrap up of 2025. That's crazy. I ended up reading 17 books this month, so let's just get right into it. Let's go through all 17 books that I read this month. I'll give you a little bit about them, my rating, and whether I liked them or not. We started off the month with Wild Love by Elsie Silver, and this is actually my first Elsie Silver book that I've ever read, and I did end up giving it 4 stars. I will say that like the entire time I was reading it, I thought in my mind that it was going to be a 5-star read, but once I got to the miscommunication trope at the end, it literally bumped it down to 4 stars. I literally could not handle that. Like, it was really bad in this book. So our main male character, Ford, is like the world's hottest billionaire, okay? And he is opening a local recording studio in his small town, and a 12-year-old girl randomly shows up claiming to be his daughter. And then we also have Rosie, and she's moving back to the small town of Rose Hill because she lost her job and she just wants to start fresh. There is some of the cutest banter and just like cute moments with these two between Ford and Rosie. Like, I was eating it up. I actually think that Ford is one of the best book boyfriends I've ever read. I love Ford. I had a great time reading this and I definitely want to continue the rest of this standalone interconnected series. Then I read Jenna Jameson's Memoir, and oh my god, did I have the best time reading this book. I actually gave it 5 stars. I had the best time. I didn't want to put it down the entire time I was reading it, and it's fairly long. It's 600 pages. I read it over the course of 3 days, and she's lived like the craziest life. I was gasping like so many times, and I actually didn't know who she was before reading this, and that was really interesting, like reading a memoir from someone that you have no preconceived ideas about, because now I'm obsessed with her. Honestly, I just love that she told her entire truth. Like, she exposed so many people in this book. She exposed herself, and I really respect that. When you go online to Goodreads and look at the reviews of this book, they're all negative because people are judging the choices that she made in her life rather than rating it based off of the way she's writing about it. And that really bothered me because this is someone's real life. Like, who are you to give her like a 1-star review on her memoir because you don't like a decision she made? Like, this is real life. This is her real life. I just want to get that out there. So 5 stars. And then after 2 years of being on my TBR, I finally read Malibu Rising, which I gave 4.5 stars. There is just something so nostalgic about Taylor Jenkins Reid writing, and I haven't read a book from her in like literally 9 months or something. And right when I picked it up, it just felt like a warm hug. Like, she just does something to my brain and I eat it up. And this book is honestly impossible to describe. It's told by so many different perspectives and different timelines. It's definitely a book that makes you think about your own life and the choices that you've made. Oh my gosh, and then I actually got an ARC for Queens of Spells in Stone by Katarina Stevens, and it actually comes out in February, and oh my gosh, I had the best time reading this book. I gave it 5 stars. There's dragons, humans, fae, gargoyles, fighting twin queens, banished witches, fated mates. I mean, there's literally everything you would want in a romantasy. So our main character is actually older. She's in her 50s and she really hates her life. She hates her marriage, and she starts getting these like crippling headaches and really intense realistic nightmares where she sees these like really terrifying creatures like gargoyles. She ends up finding out that she is an oracle, hence the headaches, and she's taken through a portal to a fae land, or like a land of magic. She's tasked to find this prism artifact so she can see who killed the king and queen of this land. There's tons of different magic and abilities and magic systems. Everyone has their own unique powers, and it's also told by multiple point of views, and I really loved every single character. And this book also gives us like multiple strong female leads. Like, there is not just one main female character, there is multiple, and you really love them all. I just cannot wait to see where this author takes the rest of the series. I know it's going to be multiple books, so definitely add it to your TBR, and I literally can't wait to get my hands on a physical copy when it comes out. The next book I read was Hello Stranger by Catherine Senner, and I gave this bad boy 2 stars. This is actually the first Catherine Senner book I've ever read, but it didn't deter me from reading future books. Our main character is a portrait artist, barely making rent, honestly struggling, but she's a finalist in a portrait competition and she thinks it could be her big break. She ends up having a seizure and ends up having brain surgery, which then leads her to have swelling in her brain that disrupts the part of her brain that gives her facial recognition. So this girl is a portrait artist that can no longer see faces. Really unique concept. I've only read about facial blindness in one other book before, so that was fun. And I think the book started off really strong. I was having a really fun time reading it, but then it got so chaotic and so unrealistic, and I was actually laughing out loud at how ridiculous some of the parts were. And I was like, it really lost the plot. It really lost the plot. So this was 2 stars for me. I cannot wait to talk about this book. This was actually on my TBR for the month, and I'm so glad I actually read it. It is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Klewer. Our story starts with these 2 married women, and they buy houses and flip them and sell them for money, and they've just purchased a new property. And a family shows up to the house claiming that they used to live here. The dad used to live there when he was younger, and he really wants to show his wife and his kids his childhood home. And the reluctant owner is like, this is really suspicious, but you know, there's kids with them, so yeah, come on in. Then weird stuff starts to happen. Like, one of the kids goes missing in the house for a while. The family just doesn't seem to leave. There's constant excuses. The main person we're following thinks she sees things in the house. Things are going missing. It's like really weird. And this book actually had me scared. Like, I haven't been scared while reading a book in so long, and this actually had me so spooked. And this book really makes you think, and at the end it had one of those like, oh my god, what moments, and I actually can see this being like a top scary movie, and when it comes out I know it's going to be really successful because the plot twist was just so shocking. Definitely recommend. 5 stars. And after reading Jenna Jameson's memoir, it really sent me into a spiral. I actually ended up ordering like 10 different memoirs. And so the next one I read was Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz. And she was on, oh my god, One Tree Hill. Literally already forgot. I have not seen One Tree Hill, so I didn't know who she was, which was, again, really awesome to go into it kind of blind. And it's about how when she was in Hollywood, she was also like on the side secretly in a cult, a religious cult, and she really had no idea. And it's really about her like life in that cult and then finally realizing it and getting out of it and kind of how she's doing since leaving it. And I really enjoyed this. I didn't want to put it down. I thought it was so interesting. It almost makes me want to watch One Tree Hill now because I now know what she was going through on the side. So I gave that 5 stars also because I just loved her truth, and I'm really glad she spilled all the beans. Next, Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. This is the first in a trilogy, and I really could not get into this book, okay? It's about these twin sisters that are witches, and they're living amongst like humans, and the book starts with one of the twins ending up dead. Her heart is ripped out of her chest. Sorry if that's graphic. And so it's about the other twin trying to discover what happened to her sister because there's like a larger plot at play. For some reason this book just didn't hook me the way I thought it would. Like, I thought it was an interesting concept, and there's like these 7 devil princes from hell, and they're all based off of the 7 deadly sins. And so it's a fun idea, but it just wasn't executed very well, and I really didn't find our main character to be very interesting. And we also never see her abilities as a witch like at all throughout this book, and so there's like no strong female lead. I feel like she's honestly useless. And the ending was pretty cool, but even though I own all the books, I don't think I'm going to continue the series. Like, this year 2025 for me is not reading things because I feel like I have to. Like, if I don't like the first book in the series, I don't have to continue it. Like, why am I forcing myself to do those things? So I don't think I'm going to continue the series. 2 stars. And because I read Malibu Rising, I had to pick up Carrie Soto is Back, okay? And oh My god, no one could have made me like tennis as much as Taylor Jenkins Reid did, okay? This was a 5-star book. I mean, I was literally hooked from the first page. It follows Carrie Soto through her childhood, where her entire life is dedicated to playing tennis with her dad as her coach, and she believes that she's going to be the best tennis player in the whole world. And then after literally becoming the best tennis player in the whole world and surpassing everyone's records and just being literally amazing, she retires quickly because she has an injury. And she doesn't want to lose her title, and like, she doesn't want anyone to see her career decline because of an injury, so she quickly retires. Now it's years and years and years later, and there is a new tennis player up and coming who is threatening to surpass her titles and take the world record from her. So she decides to come out of retirement at 37 years old to try to keep her record. And it's a lot of training and personal growth, reconnecting with her dad as her coach, and just months and months of training to prepare to beat these like 18-year-old tennis players, and she's 37. Taylor Jenkins Reid can literally take a topic that I do not care about, period, and suddenly I love it. I was stressed. I was reading this book stressed because I wanted Carrie to win so bad, and I just love this book so much. It is definitely a 5-star read, and I definitely recommend reading it. It's Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, and I think this is a 5-star read for me. It's either 5 or 4.5. I can't really decide, but basically a 70-year-old woman named Toya works at an aquarium, and she cleans the aquarium after hours, and she kind of befriends, in a way, an older octopus that is in the aquarium. Not in like a they're communicating with each other type of way, she just feels something for this octopus, okay? A long time ago, she lost her son in a boating accident when he was only 18, and she just recently lost her husband to cancer a few years back, so she's dealt with a lot of grief. And the other point of view in this book is told from, well, the octopus, but also Cameron. He is, he's a guy who comes to this small town to see if he can figure out who his dad is, and he also gets a job at the aquarium and befriends Toya in the process. This is a really just feel-good book. There's also a slight mystery element because the octopus kind of knows something that he's trying to get Toya to figure out, and so it's almost like a mystery because you're trying to figure out like what the unknown is. It was really beautiful. Okay, I really loved this book. Now we're getting into the goods. I reread Fourth Wing, okay, and I actually annotated it. I don't even know if you can see my tabs. I used like gray tabs, so you literally can't even see them. Anyway, I had a blast. This is the first time I've ever reread a book, and I was really nervous that I wasn't gonna like it as much, but I ate this up, girl. I ate this up. I had a blast reading it again, and I picked up on so many things I either forgot or couldn't remember or didn't catch the first time I read it like a year and a half ago. I loved this. Iron Flame, which I didn't even bring over here, also had a blast reading that. I crunched that book out so fast because Onyx Storm was coming out the next day, and I was like, oh my god, I literally need to read this today. And so I speed read Iron Flame to get it done, and I did it, and I loved it, and it's also a 5-star read for me. I just had a blast. I actually liked it better a lot more the second time. Onyx Storm. Let's talk about this book. I think I'm gonna give it 5 stars. Question mark? I literally don't know. I actually think this one is way better than Iron Flame, and I really enjoyed Iron Flame, okay? It takes place really right after Iron Flame, and I think the reason I like this one so much is because I felt like it focused on found family like so much. They also go to a ton of new and different places, and so you're experiencing these different lands, and you're seeing more of the world, and I really liked that. I would say this book is the book of reveals. There are so many different reveals. I was gasping so many times while reading this freaking book. Oh my gosh, was there so much character development for Violet. Like, she's my girl now. Like, she was kind of insufferable in the last book, but she's my girl. I literally will ride or die for this girl. And the end had me really shocked. At first I was really underwhelmed. Like, I was like, what? But then as I sat with it over the last few days, I was like, oh my god, no, that's actually crazy, and I can't freaking wait for the next one. We have The Favorites from Lane Fargo, which I actually did a whole reading vlog reading this. I uploaded it a few days ago if you guys want to check it out. I I think I said I gave it 5 stars in that video, but I'm gonna switch my review to 4 stars. This book is quite literally Daisy Jones meets Magnolia Parks. Like, the toxicity of Magnolia Parks mixed with the writing style of Daisy Jones is this book. It's about our main girl, Katerina, and her skating career with her partner, Heath, kind of over the course of their lives. And it's similar to Carrie Soto, where she's like, I will be the best. I will get a gold medal and go to the Olympics. Like, that will be my future. And just so much stuff happens, and half of it is like told from the perspective of Katerina, and the other half is told interview style from a documentary that comes out about Katerina and Heath like later in life. And so it's a lot of interview style chapters in here, which is really fun. And I just feel like a book has never really made me feel all those emotions and get that upset while reading it, because I was just so mad at some of the backstabbing and betrayal and cheating that happened in this book. Oh my god, it drove me insane, but it was so good. I definitely recommend this. Nora Goes Off Script, probably the worst book I've ever read. Like, actually, I thought it was gonna be really good because of the idea. It's where a woman is going through a divorce and she's a screenwriter, and she writes a movie based off of her divorce, and it starts filming at her house, and that's like kind of fun. And then she ends up getting in a relationship with the man who's playing her ex-husband in the movie. But this is the most unrealistic and stupid idea I've ever heard. Like, the movie stops filming and the guy playing the ex-husband just won't leave. He's like, I'm gonna give you $7,000 to let me live in your house for a week because I don't want to go back to my normal life. And she's like, what? And there's like no slow burn, there's no tension, it's basically immediate attraction. It was just very flat, and both characters were so insufferable. I actually ended up DNFing it at 70%, and it's a short book. It's really 250 pages or something, and I literally couldn't even get through it. I was like, I need to stop. I'm literally done with this book. Terrible. And then I actually got an ARC for Lynn Painter's new book, Made for Each Other. I was excited for this one because it's her first adult contemporary romance. It's about a romance between a maid and a billionaire, and the maid ends up crashing at the billionaire's house because she knows that he's out of town for a few days, and she's like, my apartment is getting fumigated, I need somewhere to stay for a few days. So she's like, I'm gonna crash here because I know he won't be here. Little does she know, he shows up. He ends up threatening to get her fired, but in exchange he's like, oh, if you fake date me for these events for my work this weekend, I won't get you fired. So the main trope in this book is fake dating, but also like wealth discrepancies because he's a billionaire and she's like a poor maid. You can really tell in this book that Lynn Painter is a young adult writer. That's just how her writing comes across, and I really don't think she did a good job jumping into the adult romance. There's only 2 sort of chapters that have spicy scenes in it, but they weren't even spicy scenes. Like, she didn't fully commit to them, and they weren't even graphic. Like, honestly, she should have just taken those little bits out and just wrote YA romance like she's good at. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. When are authors going to stop referencing Taylor Swift in all of their books? There were like 3 references to Taylor Swift in this book, and also in the favorites, the figure skating book, there was a Taylor Swift reference in there. Guys, when are we going to stop? Every single romance book that has come out in the last year somehow references Taylor Swift and her songs. I'm done. I'm done with it. It's not original anymore, so stop with it. Anyway, I didn't really like either character, and I didn't feel the tension between them, and honestly they both kind of sucked. So I gave it 2 stars, and I'm really sad to say that because I love Lynn Painter. She normally has me like giggling and kicking my feet, but not this one. The last book I have, oh actually I need to go get the cover for it, but it's Love, Pamela. It's Pamela Anderson's memoir. I actually have like 20 pages left. I'm gonna literally finish it today. But I wanted to mention it in this video because I will be finishing it by the end of January. This was a really short memoir. I don't like to give memoirs like bad reviews because they're telling their life, but I really feel like Pamela skimmed through her life in this book. Like, when you go into reading a memoir about Pamela Anderson, you want her to talk about really specific things. Like, you know what I'm talking about. And everything was just really briefly skimmed over. Like, we never really got in depth or went deep with a lot of these things like I kind of was expecting. Like, Jenna Jameson's memoir went deep. I mean, she told everything about her life. And while Pamela did, she was really raw with this, I feel like she didn't go into detail with a lot of things I wanted her to talk about. So I'm just having a little bit of an issue. with it. Like, I'd probably give it 3 stars if I'm gonna rate it, but I'm probably not gonna rate it. Hey! Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you. That was the 17 books that I read in the month of January. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you've read any of these books and what you guys thought about them. Stay tuned because in a few days I'm going to be doing my February TBR video and it's going to be focused on romance. We're in the month of love. It's going to be a romance lovey month in TBR. I love you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and watching my videos and commenting. I just love making book videos so much. Anyway, I will see you guys in a few days when I post my TBR, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys.